Welcome, everybody, to the Social Dig Spooky Edition, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And tonight we're gonna get a little bit spooky. So make sure you get your beverage and your candy corn, whatever it is you use for Halloween, and get ready to join this conversation tonight. It's going to be a spooktacular event tonight as we go ahead and get ready to get into some of this really good stuff here. Definitely want to thank everybody for coming on in and joining us. It's the day before Halloween, but we're just going to celebrate it as if it is, because I do have a show tomorrow, a Halloween show on Spaced Out Radio, filling in for Dave Scott tomorrow. So you definitely want to make sure that you're there for that, as we have O Nation coming in. I think she's doing readings and some other things, and maybe we have some other things planned too. Obviously, it's going to be a fun time as we go ahead and get ready to get into the conversation. Let me go ahead and go back into the chat. It's a little bit late, had some duties, things I had to take care of, but I'm glad you guys stuck around, and life happens sometimes. Got to say what's up to Flat 6 in the building. Got to say what's up, Magneticus Attractus. Got to say, always moving the bar. Yeah, life happens, man. When you're the one-man show, life happens. Life happens. Robert White saying family first always. That's how it usually is. It definitely is. Magneticus Attractors, thank you for gifting the sub here tonight. We appreciate you, sir. We got Anjo Ann. Anjo Ann is here in the building. Thank you for coming in, Anjo Ann. Also, Nikki Angels Are Life. Restore Belief with Nikki. Appreciate you coming in tonight and joining us on this spooktacular night. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Amy Collins is here saying greetings. Greetings, Amy Collins. Thanks for coming on in. Kitty Catty Whack. Kitty Catty Whack is here. Hey, Kitty Catty Whack, thanks for coming in. Kurt M. saying, let me get your previous comment, because you said, the scariest Halloween story I know is that my daughter is turning 18 tomorrow. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Scary day, but you have a daughter that is reaching out adulthood. You have done your job, sir. You have done your job. Congratulations. And let's see, who else do we have here? We have Joey Glow. Appreciate you coming on in. Joey Glowy or Glow? Either one. Appreciate you showing up. Simon Likeable. Hey, Robin, everyone. Hey, Simon Likeable. Thanks for coming on in. Cielo Azul. Thank you for coming in, saying hello to all. Definitely appreciate you guys showing on up. It's just the mood. It's the mood of the season. This whole month makes me feel this way. We're just going to get into some fun stuff. Nothing too serious today. We're just going to have a little bit of fun as we go ahead and get ready to get into it. Let's talk about some of the things that we have, obviously, here at the Social Dig. Most of you guys know about all this stuff. The number that you can call in. Wes Decker in the building. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for your support, buddy. Saying happy almost Halloween, Rob, and everybody. Give it up for Wes Decker. Thanks for showing on up tonight. Appreciate you, sir. And Polly Rotterman is here as well. Polly Rotterman, appreciate you showing on up. And the number here, just program the number in your phone, because you never know when you're going to need it. The number, 856-843-3444, or this 856-THE-DIGG. Calling from outside the United States, just put a 001 right in front of that, and then dial the number. But just put it in your contact list. Put it under Rob G or whatever you want to call the contact, but it's there. That way, you have a thought, and you're like, you know what? Let me go ahead and call the line real quick, and you got it right there in your phone. That would be awesome, and maybe you'll be more willing to call and talk about your experience, or kind of just leave some data for us there. We would appreciate it as we go ahead and continue to move into the show tonight. Not going to be too long. We're just going to go through some really fun stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and actually get the let's pick some music for the season. It is spooky season. Let me see. I think I have a couple different ones loaded today. Let's see what we have. Let's see. Okay, that'll do for now. That'll do for now. Just always let me know if you any audio issues during this show. Please let me know. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. That way, we'll make sure that the show comes out awesome. So, getting into the show, we have also the memberships available. Most of you are members, which is awesome. Just want to read everybody off because you guys are awesome. Maggie M10, the Beekeeper, D Nunley, T-Bone, and Joanne, the Mothman, Richard Wilson, Love V Love, Dogface, We Riders, DG, Poncho Zork, Deb from Sacramento, Flat Six, Lulu Bell, President Zaddy, Eternity, Eternal, Thirsty, Bryce's Folly, Magnetics, Attractors, Urso, Suprosoft, Kurt M, Hips and Ships. Welcome to the show, Lil Camp 51, Lisa Davis, Kid Caddy Whack, Joe Monk, Phil R, Chris Jarvis, Robert Redmond Clip Channel, Midwest Night Watchers, Guardian Jackpot, Mackay Brown Door, and Drew Banky, Miss Catherine Jones, Deathfish Cheese Spread. Do appreciate all you guys for coming on in and being members and just helping make this thing a better place to be. That's all it's going to do is make this show better. Allow me to get editors. Allow me to put together high quality content, because otherwise, you're getting good stuff, I think, but it's base level. Just imagine where we can go from here, and that's kind of the idea. Also, the social shop is up. It's there, hoodies, all sorts of things there. You can check it out at any time as we get ready to get into the show, because it is spooky season. It's spooky season. So I want to get some stories from you guys tonight. I want to make sure you guys are part of the show tonight. So get some of those stories ready. I think we'll probably do those towards the end of the show. I had some really good stories that we had done over the last couple weeks, right? And I think I'm just going to bring a couple of those back real quick here, just to set the mood, just for this particular show, right? So I think one that I really enjoyed was, let's see, let's go with the Lantern Man. The Lantern Man was pretty creepy, so let's go with that. All right, so the Lantern Man. You've heard it before, act like you haven't, because it's going to be an awesome story as we go ahead and get ready to get the mood going here on this spooky show. And wrap it up. Here we go. All right. The Lantern Man. In the rural town of Cold Hollow, there was a local legend told every Halloween. It was about the Lantern Man, a dark figure who wandered the woods holding a dim, flickering lantern. The story went that if you saw his light in the distance, you should never follow it, because those who did were never seen again. It was a tale that teenagers loved to challenge, daring each other to enter the woods at night. This Halloween, a group of friends, Sam, Lily, and Jake, decided they would be the ones to uncover the truth about the Lantern Man. They packed flashlights, extra batteries, and snacks, determined to stay out until they found him. At midnight, they gathered at the edge of the woods and pushed their way through the thick trees and undergrowth. The air grew colder as they walked, and a heavy silence settled around them. After what felt like hours of wandering, a faint, eerie glow appeared up ahead. "There it is," Sam whispered, his voice barely a breath. The others nodded, feeling both fear and excitement as they inched closer to the light. As they approached, the glow became more distinct. In the distance, they could make out a figure, a tall, shadowy man holding a lantern, the light swinging gently in the darkness. Suddenly, the figure began to move away, the lantern bobbing as he walked deeper into the woods. The friends hesitated, but their curiosity won out. They followed, staying just far enough back to avoid being seen. They moved quietly, careful to keep their footsteps light. but the man never looked back. Eventually, he led them to a clearing with an old, rotting cabin in the center. The lantern man entered, the light from his lantern flickering through the cracked windows. Lily shivered. Maybe we should go back. But Sam shook his head. We're this close. Let's see what he's doing. They crept up to the cabin, pressing their faces to the dirty glass. Inside, they saw the lantern man set his lantern on the floor, illuminating a collection of small wooden figures. Each one looked intricately carved and eerily lifelike. As he worked, he picked up a knife, slowly carving features onto a new figure. But what made them freeze was the resemblance of this figure to Sam. Sam stumbled back, gasping, and his flashlight flickered off. Inside, the lantern man looked up, as if he'd heard something. His lantern went dark, and they could hear the creak of the door open. They turned to run, but the woods were darker than they remembered, every path twisted and unfamiliar. They stumbled blindly, the heavy thud of footsteps echoing behind them. Lily's flashlight went out next, followed by Jake's. All they could hear was the breathing of this figure behind them, slow and steady, like a shadow closing in. Suddenly, Sam tripped over something on the ground. As he struggled to his feet, he realized what he'd stumbled over. It was a small wooden figure lying in the leaves, the perfect likeness of Lily, down to her terrified expression. The last thing they saw was the lantern man's face emerging from the darkness, eyes empty and cold, as he reached out with his hand, gently touching each of them on the forehead, their vision dimmed, fading as if someone had blown out a candle. The next morning, their parents and the townspeople searched the woods, but there was no trace of the three friends. Only that night, the townspeople noticed something new about the lantern man's story. Some say that if you go in the woods, you'll see him carrying more than one lantern now, each one containing a flickering, shadowy shape inside, a boy and a girl, frozen forever in the ghostly light, trapped with him in the darkness, awaiting anyone who dared to wander into the lantern and haunted woods. It was a great story the first time we heard it. Awesome story, even the second time around. So that should get you in the mood. You know, I hope you got your candy corn. I hope you got your decorations up at home. I hope you decorated the house. Are you trick or treating, or are you handing out candy for trick or treaters this year? That'd be a good thing to know. Are you going to play a part in Halloween this year? Or are you going to be the house that turns off all the lights so the trick-or-treaters walk right by? I'd love to know in the chat. What are your plans this Halloween? Are you going to be a trick-or-treater? Are you going to hand out the treats? Or are you going to turn off your porch lights and let trick-or-treaters walk on by? I plan on handing out candy, but I'll be doing the show, so I won't be able to do it, but the house will definitely be giving out candy here. So we will be participating in festivities, and I hope that you do too, just for the spirit. Now, if, as you see on the screen, We're going to start out tonight with the origin of Halloween. We're going to talk about where Halloween has gotten its start. Where did it start? Why do we even celebrate this today? We're going to talk about that and more as we go ahead and switch up my theme music here. Origins of Halloween. A lot of us were just born into it, right? Who's really looked into where this started? All we know as kids is we go to the pumpkin patch with kids, other kids. We go pick the best pumpkin. We bring it home. We have pumpkin carving contests. If you remember the little knives with the orange handles on them, the kid-friendly knives, we used to dig out the insides full of goopy nastiness, separate the seeds from the meat of the pumpkin, lay them out on a pan, sprinkle a little salt on them, stick them in the oven, and have pumpkin seeds. You gotta have pumpkin seeds. If you carve a jack-o'-lantern, if you cut up a pumpkin, you must have, at the very least, pumpkin seeds. They are so delicious. But we're going to get into why we even do any of this, why we celebrate Halloween. So, origins of Halloween. The roots of Halloween can be traced back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, which marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, a time associated with darkness and death. Celebrated from October 31st to November 1st, Samhain was seen as a time when the boundaries between the physical world and the spiritual world were the thinnest, allowing spirits to roam the earth. The Celts would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off these spirits, a precursor to the modern tradition of dressing up for Halloween. Offerings of food and drink were also left out for wandering spirits, hoping to ensure good fortune in the coming year. As Christianity spread across Europe, the church sought to Christianize pagan festivals, and Samhain was eventually transformed into All Saints' Day, also known as All Hallows' Day, celebrated on November 1st. The evening before All Saints' Day became known as All Hallows' Eve, later shortened to Halloween. This fusion of traditions continued to evolve, and by the 19th century, Halloween had taken root in North America. Irish and Scottish immigrants brought their customs, including carving turnips and later pumpkins, and telling ghost stories, which became iconic Halloween traditions. Today, Halloween is celebrated through costumes, trick-or-treating, haunted houses, and other festivities that reflect its ancient origins and modern-day adaptations. So as well, our Latino and Latina counterparts, which I'm part Mexican, part African American, so both of these holidays resonate with me. Dia de los Muertos. So the origin of Dia de los Muertos. Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is a Mexican holiday rooted in indigenous beliefs and traditions. Long before Spanish colonization, Mesoamerican cultures like the Aztecs, Maya, and Totonac held annual festivals celebrating their ancestors. The Aztecs, for instance, had a month-long festival in August dedicated to the goddess Mitecuhtla. I'm saying it wrong, I'm murdering it. Please, somebody correct me on that. Known as the Lady of the Dead. During these celebrations, the Aztecs honored deceased family members and welcomed their spirits back to the world of the living. Skulls and skeleton imagery, common symbols today, were used to represent the cyclical nature of life and death. With the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century, Catholic traditions merged with indigenous customs, leading to the creation of Dia de los Muertos as it is known today. The Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day, November 1st, and All Souls' Day were integrated into indigenous festivals, resulting in a 2-day celebration in early November. November 1st is often referred to as Dia de los Inocentes, or Day of the Innocents, dedicated to honoring deceased children, while November 2nd is Dia de los Muertos, dedicated to honoring deceased adults. The holiday reflects both Catholic teachings on death and the afterlife and indigenous beliefs in the cyclical nature of life. During Dia de los Muertos, families build altars or ofrendas in their homes and at the grave sites. These altars are decorated with marigold flowers known as cempasúchil. Am I murdering it, guys? Let me know. Candles, incense, photographs, and mementos of the deceased. Special foods such as pan de muerto, a sweet bread, sugar skulls, and the favorite foods of the deceased are placed on the ofrendas as offerings. The festivities include music, dancing, and storytelling, creating a joyful atmosphere that contrasts with the solemn mourning practices in many other cultures. And these are some of the commonalities, because someone who's naive or that hasn't heard of Dia de los Muertos just thinks that it's a Mexican Halloween. Seriously, I mean, so that's definitely what some people think. So I'll let you know some of the contrasts and commonalities between the two holidays because they are vastly different. While Halloween and Dia de los Muertos have distinct cultural origins and traditions, both holidays celebrate the connection between the living and the dead. Halloween has become a holiday largely focused on fun, fantasy, and fright, while Dia de los Muertos remains deeply spiritual, focusing on honoring loved ones and celebrating life. The visual symbols of both holidays, skeletons, skulls, and candles, highlight their shared themes of death and remembrance. However, the tone differs greatly. Halloween often emphasizes fear and macabre, where Dia de los Muertos presents death in a celebratory, even humorous light, reminding people that death is a natural part of life. Another difference is the way these holidays are celebrated within their respective cultures. Halloween in the United States and many Western countries has become a secular holiday, with activities like trick-or-treating, costume parties, and haunted houses. Dia de los Muertos, in contrast, remains rooted in family traditions and cultural heritage, with a strong emphasis on maintaining connections with deceased loved ones through rituals and offerings. For many Mexicans, Dia de los Muertos is not just a holiday, but a meaningful part of their cultural identity, blending indigenous beliefs with Catholic elements in a unique fusion. So there it is. Who knew? Who knew that? I did. I did, obviously, but a lot of people don't know that. If you were to go and ask someone, now that you know, tomorrow's still Halloween, you have Dia de los Muertos coming in a few days. So you have a few days. Go out there and ask a few people, do they know the difference between these two holidays? If they don't, now you're in a position to educate on what the meanings of these holidays are. So there's some value for you there, right? There's some value and a way for you to kind of not necessarily teach, but enlighten those out there that may be unaware. It's actually great for you to know this. So what we'll do, let me go ahead and see if anyone Holly Rodiman, El Dia de los Muertos. Yes, didn't know you were having Mexican. I was born in Colombia. Yeah, yeah. My dad's side of the family. And I want to go to Colombia one day. Want to go to Colombia. I want to go to Belize as well. So it's on my list. It's on my list. But kind of getting more into it. So that's just the icebreaker, right? That just gets us the difference between these two holidays, which is important to know for those who did not know. Now, we're going to get into some of the fun stuff here. So, the first thing that we have up, I was looking up some things that, as far as haunted places, things that may have had incidents in the month of October specifically. So to kind of narrow down, because obviously we know there's haunted places all over the world that are haunted every day of the year. But there's some specific incidents in some of these that happen, or at least activity rises within the month of October for whatever reason. So getting into this, the first thing we're going to jump into is we're going to look at the Bell Witch. 1820, the month of October, the Bell Witch. I don't know how many, before I get into it, how many of you are familiar with the Bell Witch? Yes, Nikki, we'll be bringing people up afterwards for some stories. And who knows about the Bell Witch? Who's ever heard about the Bell Witch? I've never heard about it. When I first saw it, reminded me of Blair Witch, but it's nothing similar to that at all. Bell Witch is old tale here that we're going to go ahead and get into it. And Joanne says, I am. This is a true story. Yeah, as far as I know, everything that we're going to touch here are all true events and stories. So starting out with the Bell Witch, which is new to me, but the Bell Witch, the story of the Bell Witch began with John Bell, a farmer who moved with his family from North Carolina to Adams, Tennessee in 1804. For over a decade, the family led a quiet life in the Red River area. So if anybody from Tennessee is here, you may be familiar with this here. For over a decade, the family led a quiet life in the Red River area where they farmed and built a home. In 1817, strange events began to unfold, initially subtle, but quickly escalating in intensity. According to legend, John Bell encountered a strange animal on his land, describing as having the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. He attempted to shoot the creature, but it vanished. Soon after, the Bell family began hearing bizarre noises around their home, such as scratching, knocking, and sounds of chains dragging across the floor. These disturbances quickly escalated into the spirit seemingly focusing its torment on John Bell and his daughter Betsy. The entity began speaking to the family, calling itself Kate and claiming to be a witch. Known as Kate, the Bell Witch grew more violent, slapping, pinching, and physically attacking members of the family, particularly Betsy. The family attempted to keep the disturbances a secret, but as the haunting grew more severe, the community learned about it. The Bell Witch's activities became spectacle, drawing curious neighbors and even General Andrew Jackson, who was reportedly intrigued by the haunting. One of the unique aspects of the Bell Witch haunting was the intelligence and complexity attributed to the spirit. Kate, the Bell Witch, would carry on conversations with family members, visitors, and even local clergy. She was said to be incredibly knowledgeable, discussing topics ranging from the Bible to local gossip and even predicting future events. Her voice was described as loud, clear, and forceful, often accompanied by laughter or taunting. According to the legend, General Andrew Jackson, who would later become the seventh president of the United States, visited the Bells family home after hearing about the strange occurrences. Jackson and his men reportedly experienced their own terrifying encounters with the spirit. According to one version of the story, their wagon became immobilized as they approached the Bell property, and Jackson declared he had encountered the witch. Although the authenticity of Jackson's visit is debated, it remains as one of the most famous aspects of the legend, adding to the Bell Witch's notoriety. The Bell Witch's activities intensified, with the spirit appearing to take a particular interest in John Bell. She expressed open hatred for him and allegedly swore to kill him. Bell's health began to decline over the years of the haunting, and on December 20th, 1820, he passed away under mysterious circumstances. His family claimed to have found a vial of strange liquid near his body, and the Bell Witch is said to have laughed and taken credit for his death. At his funeral, the spirit reportedly sang joyfully, marking the haunting's dark climax. After Bell's death, the spirit's presence diminished, though she allegedly promised to return in 7 years, and some believe her presence lingers in the area to this day. The Bell Witch haunting has been interpreted in various ways, with folklorists and paranormal enthusiasts offering different explanations. Some believe the haunting was a case of hysteria, such as stories were common in the 19th century America, and the isolated rural community may have been susceptible to collective anxiety or fear. Others argue that the haunting was a family or community prank that spiraled out of control, possibly orchestrated to gain attention or scare John Bell, who was rumored to have conflicts within the community. However, paranormal enthusiasts argued that Bell Witch haunting was genuinely supernatural. The detailed accounts of the witnesses, the complex personality of the entity, and its persistence over several years contribute to the theory that the Bell Witch was a powerful, malevolent spirit or poltergeist. The Bell Witch story has left a lasting legacy, becoming one of the most well-known ghost stories in American folklore. The tale has inspired books, films, and television adaptations, including the popular film The Blair Witch Project, which drew on elements of the Bell Witch legend. Today, the Bell Witch Cave, located near the original Bell Farm in Adams, Tennessee, is a popular tourist attraction where visitors claim to experience strange phenomena. The town of Adams hosts annual Bell Witch Fall festivals, attracting ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts from around the world. Wow. I had no clue this was the basis of the Blair Witch Project. Wow. And that's okay. So if they got that across in that movie, then this was a pretty freaky or creepy set of circumstances as far as this legend goes. And it's weird that it was based within. It's not really weird, but you know, it's it being based in America down south just lends that much more, you know, credence and spookiness to the story that was told. A lot of people believe in witches. Some people claim they are witches today, which, you know, I haven't really got into that, so I don't know where I'm at on that, but there are definitely a lot of people out there that claim to be witches. And, you know, I would ask them, what's the difference between this type of witch and then a regular person that says they're a witch, right? So maybe that's something I have to dive into and kind of get into finding out the answers to that. See what I can find out. So the next thing we have on the list here is another thing that I had not heard of. And I've been through a lot of Halloweens and a lot of stories. But the Borley Rectory House. Has anyone heard of this? The Borley Rectory House. I'll wait to see if anyone in the chat has heard of the Borley Rectory House. Because I have not. Flat 6. It's near the Kentucky border. It's about 3 hours west of me. I lived in Knoxville as a child when I first heard of it. Okay, wow. All right, so the Borley Rectory House, which is new for me as well, was constructed. Borley Rectory. This is the house, obviously, that we're looking at here. Go ahead and get it up here full screen. Remove the banner. So the Borley Rectory House was constructed in 1862 by Reverend Henry Dawson Ellis Bull, who moved there with his family. The Victorian Gothic-style mansion was built on the site of an earlier rectory, and legend has it that the site was previously occupied by a Benedictine monastery. According to local folklore, a tragic story involving a young nun and a monk who fell in love and attempted to elope ended with the nun being bricked up alive within the walls of the monastery and the monk executed. This story, although unverified, added to the eerie reputation of the rectory and was said to explain the appearance of a ghostly nun seen by several residents and visitors to the property. From the very beginning, reports of strange occurrences surrounded Borley Rectory. Reverend Bull's daughters reported seeing ghostly apparitions, including the figure of a nun in the garden, as well as experiencing poltergeist activity and unexplained noises. Reverend Bull himself was reportedly unfazed by these occurrences, even building a summer house in the garden so he could watch for the nun's spirit. However, after Bull's death in 1892, subsequent residents of the rectory encountered more disturbing activity, suggesting that the property was indeed haunted by malevolent forces. The most famous period of Borley Rectory's haunted history occurred when Reverend Lionel Foister and his wife, Mary Ann, moved into the rectory in 1930. It was during their residence that the paranormal activity allegedly reached its peak. Mary Ann Foister reported seeing apparitions, hearing voices, and experiencing physical assaults by an unseen force. Objects would mysteriously move, furniture was thrown about, and strange messages appeared on the walls. Seemingly addressed to Mary Ann and asking for help, one message famously read, "Mary Ann, please help, get," suggesting a spirit in distress or need of release. Reverend Foister attempted to perform an exorcism on the property, but the haunting phenomena only increased in intensity. Some claim that the spirit would interfere directly with religious objects such as Bibles and crucifixes, moving or displacing them. Mary Ann's experiences became well publicized, and many in the public believed that she was at the center of the haunting. Perhaps the most significant contributor to the legend of Borley Rectory was Harry Price, a well-known paranormal investigator who arrived on the scene in 1929 and conducted several investigations, Price documented his findings in books and newspaper articles, capturing the public's imagination and establishing Worley Rectory as a subject of fascination. In 1937, after the Foysters vacated the property, Price rented the rectory for a year to conduct a more thorough investigation, bringing in a team of volunteers and researchers to observe and document any paranormal activity. During his investigation, Price and his team reported numerous incidents, including strange sounds, poltergeist activity, cold spots, and mysterious apparitions. Price claimed to have communicated with spirits through a series of seances, one of which reportedly revealed the identity of a French nun named Marie Laire, who had been murdered and buried on the property. This alleged revelation further fueled the belief that the rectory was haunted by spirits with tragic pasts. Price's investigations brought widespread media attention, and his reports were published in the Daily Mirror, elevating Worley Rectory to legendary status. While Price's findings captivated the public, many skeptics questioned his methods and motives. Some accused Price of exaggerating and fabricating events to further his career, and critics argued that many of his findings were based on little evidence or unverified accounts. Nevertheless, Price's investigations left an indelible mark on the story of Worley Rectory, and his publications remain influential in the field of paranormal research. In 1939, a fire broke out in Worley Rectory, effectively destroying much of the building. The cause of the fire was reportedly accidental, sparked by a resident who had been attempting renovations. Despite the fire, stories of paranormal activity continued, with some claiming that the fire itself was the work of the spirits, a final act of supernatural wrath. In the aftermath of this fire, the remaining ruins of the Worley Rectory became a hot spot for paranormal enthusiasts who believed that the ghosts of the rectory continued to haunt the grounds. In 1944, Harry Price published The End of Worley Rectory, summarizing his investigations and documenting the rectory's final years. The story of Worley Rectory has left a lasting impact on the world of paranormal research and popular culture. It is often cited as one of the most haunted locations in England, a reputation that has inspired books, documentaries, and fictional adaptations. Its combination of tragedy, mystery, and supposed paranormal evidence makes it one of the most well-known ghost stories in the English-speaking world. The Worley Rectory haunting also had a significant impact on the field of paranormal research, as Harry Price's investigation served as a model for later ghost hunting practices. His methods, such as using witnesses, documenting phenomena, and conducting seances, became standard practices for many investigators, influencing the way paranormal activity is investigated and reported today. So another bit of awesome data there with the Worley Rectory House. And if we have anybody here from the UK, let me know if you know anything about this story, and you know anything about this house. It definitely, and this is, I've interviewed paranormal investigators before. I interviewed who was it? It was a lady, and I can't remember her name right now, but she investigated a prison, an old prison, and just pictures of it, you could look at it and tell that there was some sort of energy there that you didn't want to tangle with. And it's the same with this. But it's not always like this. Because I know someone asked the other night or last night, for the paranormal investigator was on with Dave,
if, why is it that it seems like they're always attached to old properties, like old eccentric sort of properties? And I think she stated that they're attached to newer buildings as well, and maybe it's just the actual plot of land that the spirit ends up being connected to. So that spirit there could live on forever if that's the case. If it's attached to the actual property, the land, I mean, and not the building itself, then they may have hauntings going on for a long time there. So what we have, this is the Borley Rectory House. Once again, the next one everybody knows about, and actually there was an article on this that I wanted to look at real quick here, because there was someone, the Stanley Hotel. Obviously, we know what movie this is from. It's in Estes Park, Colorado. It was the inspiration for Stephen King's movie The Shining, after he had a paranormal experience there in 1974. King and his wife were the only guests staying at the hotel before it closed for the season, and King reported strange visions and dreams that haunted him. The hotel remains famously haunted, with guests reporting ghostly children's laughter, apparitions, and objects moving on their own. So I wanted to go into that because there is a story that was connected to that, or to one of these incidents. This was reported in was it today.com back in 2016. The article was actually written by Scott Stump, but he covered an encounter there. So the Colorado hotel that inspired Stephen King to write The Shining may have an extra guest who will be staying for eternity. Houston man Henry Yao, a recent visitor to the Stanley Hotel, now this is in 2016, so recent as of 2016, took a panoramic photo of the stairwell and lobby that had him thinking he may have found a ghost at the famously spooky place. When King and his wife visited in 73, King claimed that he found their suitcases and clothes put away after leaving the room, according to the sci-fi series Ghost Hunters, which filmed an episode at the Stanley Hotel. The stay inspired King to write The Shining, about a writer who slowly descends into murderous madness in a secluded mountain hotel while staying with his family, which then became the iconic movie starring Jack Nicholson. Yao, who did not return a phone message from today.com seeking comment, may have captured more than one ghost on camera, according to the report. He says his quote, "When we blew up the picture, we immediately saw a second anomaly just to the left of the first figure," Kevin Samprin of Spirit Paranormal Investigators in Denver told the NBC affiliate. "To us, it looks like the first figure is a lady dressed in black, and to the left of her looks like a child." Now, this is what I'm going to show you here. This is the picture in question. And I'll be danged if that does not look like an actual apparition at the top of the steps. Now, to the left, it said right to the left. So it looks like maybe above the banister. They're saying that may be the head of a child there. So a woman you can clearly see, and then to the left of the woman being the head of a child. The picture does not appear to be photoshopped or manipulated in any way, according to Samprin. "This could be a legitimate ghost as far as we can tell," Samprin said. The remote hotel opened in 1909, and the ghosts of original owners F.O. and Flora Stanley are said to still be in the building, according to the hotel's website. Flora's antique Steinway can be heard playing in the dead of night, and Mr. Stanley has been captured in photographs surveying the goings-on in the billiards room, once his favorite place, according to the description on the hotel site. So just to go back and read what the part where they describe this, he says, "When we blew up the picture, we immediately saw a second anomaly just to the left of the first figure. To us, it looks like the first figure is a lady dressed in black, which we see clearly right there. And to the left of her looks like a child. You guys see the child? I can see a head. It looks like a head sticking out above the banister, if I'm not mistaken. And if they've looked at this, vetted it, said that there was no Photoshop done here. I've had shadow people, so I could go one step further. The next step from a shadow person for me is this: just an actual apparition, fully visible, like you see here. So I'm on board with it. I can go with it based on my own experience. I can be on board with this. And that is a reason why I would never go to this hotel. Now, fun fact, there is a hotel here in the city I live in, Bakersfield, which is called the Padre Hotel. It's an old hotel, just like this one, from the early 1900s, survived the earthquake. There's one particular room in there, I think it's on the 7th floor, room 704 or something like that. And apparently that's the haunted room, or really the entire hotel is supposed to be haunted, but I guess most activity is on the 7th floor in that room. I intend on going there. I'm going to go there just to be able to document, see if anything happens. It's right here in town. All I need to do is book a room, bring a camera, and then we will see what happens. But I will definitely do that. And yeah, this is what we'll do. We're going to pause right there real quick. Yeah, we got a comment here from Nikki saying, Rob, be glad that spirits are not showing up as in how they died. It's pretty gruesome for some spirits. Yeah, that would be, I can understand that. I can understand that. That sounds pretty nasty. All right. So what we'll do here, we'll take a intermission because I do have, let's see, I believe I have a couple more here for us before we listen to your stories here. 1, 2. Actually, we're almost there. Let's go ahead and get through this here. So the next story is the Whaley House. I know some people, I've heard people talk about this. The Whaley House. So the Whaley House, the story on the Whaley House, it begins with Thomas Whaley, a New York native who moved to San Diego during the California Gold Rush. Whaley was a businessman and saw the booming state as an opportunity to establish a new life and make his fortune. In 1856, he purchased land in the Old Town San Diego and began building his home, which was completed in 1857. The 2-story Greek Revival-style house made from brick was an impressive structure for its time, marking it as one of the most sophisticated buildings in the region. However, the site where the Whaley House was built already had a dark history. Before Whaley's acquisition, the land was reportedly used for public executions. The most infamous of these executions was that of James Yankee Jim Robinson. James Yankee Jim Robinson, a criminal hanged on the property in 1852 after being convicted of attempted grand larceny. Whaley was aware of the property's history but dismissed any fears, considering the land's strategic value more important than its dark past. He and his family soon moved into the house, unaware of the strange events that would come to define the residence. In addition to being the family's home, the Whaley House served multiple purposes over the years. It functioned as San Diego's first commercial theater, the country courthouse, and a general store. These varied uses, combined with the tragedies the Whaley family experienced within the home, contributed to the house's complex and layered atmosphere. The Whaley family endured numerous hardships, including the untimely deaths of several family members, adding to the house's legacy of misfortune and sorrow. The Whaley House is notorious for its reputation as a haunted location, with paranormal activity allegedly beginning soon after the Whaley family moved in. One of the earliest hauntings is attributed to the ghost of Yankee Jim Robinson. Tom Whaley himself heard footsteps echoing through the house, which he believed were Yankee Jim's. Over the years, numerous visitors have claimed to hear sound of heavy footsteps on the stairs, attributed to the spirit of the tall, heavy-built Yankee Jim, who met his end on the property. The tragedies endured by the Whaley family also seem to have left a residual imprint. Thomas Whaley and his wife, Anna, lost several of their children in the home under tragic circumstances. Their daughter, Violet, experienced a particularly sorrowful fate. In 1885, Violet married a man who abandoned her soon after her wedding. Heartbroken and humiliated, she returned to the family home and eventually took her own life. Visitors often report feeling a profound sense of sadness in areas associated with Violet, and some claim to have seen her ghostly figure walking the halls. Thomas and Anna Whaley themselves are said to haunt the house as well. Anna Whaley's ghost is often described as a friendly spirit, with sightings of a woman in period clothing seen lingering around the parlor or sitting in the room where she once spent her days. Thomas's presence is reportedly more somber and reserved, with his ghost sometimes appearing near the stairwell or in his former office. Their spirits are said to linger in the home they built and loved, maintaining an almost guardian-like presence. Other apparitions reported in the Whaley house include unidentified figures and cold spots, mysterious mists, and voices that seem to speak from nowhere. Some visitors have even claimed to hear a baby crying in the house, a phenomenon attributed to the death of a young Whaley child in infancy. The Whaley house's reputation as a haunted location has attracted both skeptics and believers, and it has been subject of numerous paranormal investigations. Organizations such as Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters, the Travel Channel's Most Haunted, and various independent paranormal researchers have conducted investigations at the house. Many of the investigations have reportedly captured unexplained phenomena, including electronic voice phenomena or EVPs, photographs of orbs, and unusual temperature fluctuations. The Whaley House is a fascinating landmark where history and hauntings intersect. Its rich past, marked by triumph, tragedy, and a notorious reputation for ghostly activity, has made it one of the most iconic haunted houses in America. That is the Whaley House. And to go ahead and see what it looks like current day, pretty much untouched, pretty much very similar to what it looked like originally. That's even more creepier. Edinburgh Vaults. So this is before we get past the stories, this is one of the final stories, something I didn't know about, the Edinburgh Vaults, which almost reminds me of the Paris catacombs. If you're familiar with the Paris catacombs, this is essentially almost what this is right here. So anyone out there know about the Edinburgh Vaults? The Edinburgh Vaults. These were constructed between 1785 and 1788. And I'll show you kind of what they look like here. So once again, let me move this out the way. So these are the Edinburgh Vaults. So that's the city on top that you see. Obviously, that's the city, the old town city on top. And this is how you access the vaults on either end. You see how many vaults there are beneath the city, which this is bananas. But it almost reminds you of the Paris catacombs. So the Edinburgh Vaults were constructed in 1785 and 1788 as part of the South Bridge, a major infrastructure project meant to connect the old town to the newer parts of the city. At the time, Edinburgh was a rapidly growing city with a booming population, and space was at a premium. The bridge's construction provided an opportunity to utilize the space beneath it, creating a series of chambers and passages that would serve as storage for merchants, wood shops for tradesmen, and possibly living quarters for the poor. The vaults were essentially an underground city with a labyrinth of network of rooms and corridors. Initially, the vaults were used by legitimate businessmen, but this quickly changed. The spaces were poorly constructed, with sandstone walls and limited ventilation, making them cold, damp, and prone to flooding. As the conditions worsened, merchants and craftsmen abandoned the vaults, which subsequently became a refuge for Edinburgh's most impoverished citizens. People lived in cramped, unsanitary conditions with no natural light or proper sanitation. Disease was rampant, and mortality rates were high. The vaults became infamous as a breeding ground for crime and suffering, attracting criminals, prostitutes, and gangsters who took advantage of the area's seclusion. One of the most notorious figures associated with the vaults was the infamous Burt and Hare, two 19th century serial killers who supplied corpses to medical schools by murdering people in Edinburgh's slums. While there was no concrete evidence that they used the vaults for their activities, the legend endures, adding to the vault's already sinister reputation. By the early 19th century, the vaults were sealed off, remaining hidden for over 100 years, only to be rediscovered in the 1980s. Since then, the vaults have become a hotspot for paranormal investigation, drawing thousands of tourists and ghost hunters annually. The Edinburgh vaults are known for numerous paranormal sightings, unexplained phenomena, and ghostly encounters. The darkness, isolation, and tragic history of the vaults has contributed to their reputation as one of the most haunted locations in Scotland. Various spirits are said to haunt underground passages, each with a unique history and personality. One of the most famous spirits with the vaults is known as Mr. Boots, described as a tall, menacing figure wearing heavy boots. Mr. Boots is believed to be one of the vault's darker presences. He is often reported to stand at a distance, watching visitors or lurking in the shadows. Some who have encountered Mr. Boots report hearing his footsteps echoing through the vaults, while others claim to have felt a chilling sense of malevolence in his presence. According to some stories, Mr. Boots enjoys frightening visitors and has been known to push or grab people, particularly those who seem fearful. Another frequently encountered ghost is that of a young boy named Jack. Unlike Mr. Boots, Jack is thought to be a more benign spirit, often reported by visitors and guides who feel a gentle tug on their clothing or hear faint giggling in empty rooms. Jack is believed to have been a child who lived in the vaults with his family during the 19th century when the area was rife with poverty and disease. Visitors sometimes leave toys or trinkets for Jack in hopes of appeasing his spirit, which adds a sense of poignancy to an otherwise foreboding atmosphere of the vaults. The spirit of the woman, often known as the Watcher, has also been reported in the vaults. She is seen in one of the vault's darker chambers, described as wearing a dark cloak or shawl, her face hidden from view. The Watcher is said to observe visitors quietly, never interacting but emitting an overwhelming feeling of sadness and despair. Some believe that she is the spirit of a mother who lost her children to disease or violence within the vault's harsh conditions, condemned to remain there in sorrow. Additionally, visitors and investigators report various other paranormal occurrences, such as sudden drops in temperature, mysterious voices, disembodied screams, and shadows moving in the corners of their vision. Orbs of light and strange mist have been captured in photographs. These occurrences, coupled with the vault's eerie ambiance, contribute to the belief that the spirits of those who suffered within its walls remain trapped, unable to find peace. This is the Edinburgh Vaults. So once again, just something awesome. And how many of these did you know about? That's kind of what I want to know, because I knew about maybe a couple of these. A lot of these were brand new to me. And it's, that's the cool part about being able to learn something new, because that's how you win. You win by walking away with more knowledge. And on this Halloween, you got a couple more creepy stories kind of referred to for Halloween night. So pass some of these stories on, right? You have the names of all these locations and all these events. So you can actually look further into these yourself, do more research. You may pick up something that we didn't cover in regards to these, and then share them. Share these stories on Halloween night. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get ready to... I think we have like 2 cryptids that I went in and selected. One is the guy you see on the front cover of the show, the Bray Road Beast, or the Beast of Bray Road. So the Beast of Bray Road, let's see here. The Beast of Bray Road came into public attention in the early 1990s. This is just a couple cryptids, Halloween cryptids. First came into public attention in the 1990s, but stories of strange creatures in Wisconsin date back much further. Rural Wisconsin has a rich tradition of folklore with legends of strange animals, supernatural beings woven into local culture. The beast, however, gained fame through the work of Linda Godfrey, a journalist who documented eyewitness accounts in 1991 while working for the Walworth County Week. Her coverage of the creature sparked interest, and she later wrote a book, The Beast of Bray Road, Tailing Wisconsin's Werewolf, which cemented the creature's place in American folklore. Eyewitnesses commonly described the Beast of Bray Road as a large, upright creature resembling a werewolf with a muscular build, shaggy fur, and a canine-like head. Reports indicate that it has glowing eyes, often red or amber, and is usually seen near the rural roadsides in wooded areas or in fields. Some witnesses claim the beast moves on 2 legs like a human, but is also capable of dropping to all 4s and moving with incredible speed, giving it predatory advantage. Descriptions of its behavior vary. Some report it as passive or simply observing from a distance, while others claim it showed aggression and pursued vehicles. The earliest known sightings of the Bray Road Beast occurred in the 1980s, but it wasn't until the 90s that the creature gained widespread notoriety. Most sightings occurred near Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and nearby communities, with people encountering the creature late at night or early in the morning hours. Many accounts came from credible sources, local residents, farmers, and even police officers, lending credibility to the claims and fueling the legend. Witnesses consistently reported feeling a deep primal fear in the creature's presence, describing it as unnervingly intelligent and unafraid of humans. So this actually gets into the dog man, right? The theory on this is the most popular theory among cryptozoologists is that the Beast of Bray Road is a previously undiscovered cryptid, possibly a type of American werewolf or dogman, right? So this may actually, Beast of Bray Road may be dogman. And for some of you dogman researchers out there, you may have known this already. I'm just getting into dogman, werewolves, and all those things. But Beast of Bray Road has been described as akin to American werewolf or dogman. So very interesting. And then the last one that we have, where we get the stories, is the Beast of Bodmin Moor. And I've talked about this before. I couldn't remember the name of what this was, but these are the black cats that they often see in the UK, I believe, in Europe. And the thing with these is that these technically, if this is a real thing, if this is the thing, these aren't living, breathing things, apparently. Apparently, they're like phantoms of a big cat, if that makes any sense, right? So, quickly on this here. So, the origins of the beast of Bodmin Moor, the legend, date back to the 1970s. Though rumors of big cat sightings in the British countryside had circulated for many years prior, the idea of a large predatory animal roaming rural England seemed improbable at the time, given that the country had no native big cats, especially not in a small remote region like Bodmin Moor. However, sightings of a panther-like creature became increasingly frequent throughout the 1980s and 1990s, attracting media attention and fueling speculation that a big cat was indeed roaming the moorland. Bodmin Moor, a remote, sparsely populated area in Cornwall, with rugged terrain, boggy landscapes, and vast open spaces, provided an ideal setting for the sightings. Locals and tourists alike report seeing a large feline with jet black fur, greenish eyes, and a long tail, which led to the popular belief that this, quote, beast was a type of exotic wild cat. This theory was supported by the increasing number of sheep and other livestock found dead under mysterious circumstances, with injuries consistent with the large predator attack. The sheer volume of the sightings and animal attacks over the years solidified the existence of the beast of Bodmin Moor in the public's imagination, making it one of Britain's most famous cryptids. As the sightings continued into the late 20th century, the legend of the beast of Bodmin Moor became difficult to ignore, even attracting the attention of government officials. In 1995, following public pressure and media scrutiny, the UK's government Ministry of Agriculture conducted a formal investigation into the existence of the beast of Bodmin Moor. Over the course of several months, investigators examined the moorland, analyzed livestock carcasses, and reviewed eyewitness accounts. Their findings, however, were inconclusive. The report concluded that there was no verifiable evidence of a large predatory cat on Bodmin Moor, although it did not entirely rule out the possibility of such animal existing. Despite the inconclusive nature of the investigation, the government's involvement only intensified public interest in the beast. Some believed that the government was covering up evidence, while others felt vindicated in their belief that something unusual was indeed roaming Bodmin Moor. Notably, the investigation did not stop the reports of sightings and attacks, which continued to be reported in subsequent years. So, a small group of believers argues that the beast of Bodmin Moor is not just an escaped animal, but rather an undiscovered cryptid or even a supernatural entity. This theory suggests that the beast is part of a hidden population of big cats or is a spectral creature tied to the folklore of the region. So, this is the beast of Bodmin Moor. So, with that being said, we will mic drop and get into this here. Happy Halloween, right? So, it's time to get into some stories from you guys, right? I think we laid out a pretty good list of spooky encounters, haunted places, ghostly spirits, phantom cats, dogmen, potentially American werewolves, and a whole lot more. So, what do you have? What do you have for us this Halloween? I want to go ahead and take some stories from people that are out there. So, I know some of you are already coming up to tell a story. So, it with the stories, let's try to keep the actual stories, on topic, Halloween related, paranormal, ghostly related in this realm, and try to keep them, I'd say, 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most. And anybody that's wanting to come up to do that, The link is in the chat. It's at the top pinned, and you can come in and give us something spooky to kind of end the show off and kind of get us in a good mood here, get us in a spooky mood. So any takers, while we wait for takers, let me go ahead and pick another story, one that we had read previously this week, and we can go ahead and do that here. I liked The Mirror Man. The Mirror Man was a good one. So as we wait for someone to come on stage, let's go with The Mirror Man, and then hopefully somebody comes up to tell one of their stories so we can go ahead and wrap spooky season on up. Yeah, don't be afraid. If you've told your story, you can tell it again. We did that on the late night call-in, so that doesn't really count, right? We could save it for this or retell it on this show. But I'll go ahead and jump in and tell the story of The Mirror Man as we wait for someone to come on stage and tell their story. So The Mirror Man. In a quiet, forgotten town nestled between rolling hills, there was an old, abandoned house that no one dared to enter. It had been untouched for years, its windows dark and its door always locked. But what made the house infamous wasn't its decay, it was the story of the Mirror Man. Legend had it years ago, a reclusive man named Elijah once lived there. He was obsessed with mirrors. Every wall of his house was covered in them, from floor to ceiling. Neighbors said Elijah believed the mirrors could trap souls, and he spent his days collecting, polishing, and studying them. One day he disappeared, and the house was left to rot. But strange things happened to those who passed by. Some claimed to see a shadowy figure lurking in the reflections of the windows. Others swore they heard whispers when they walked too close to the property. No one knew what truly happened to Elijah, but the house remained a source of fear for the townspeople, except for a group of teenagers who one Halloween night decided to break in. There were 4 of them: Jack, Aaron, Tom, and Lucy. They didn't believe in ghosts or cursed mirrors, but they loved a good scare. Armed with flashlights and daring each other forward, they slipped through a broken window. Inside, the house was exactly as rumors had said. Dozens of mirrors lined the walls, covered in dust and grime. Their reflections shimmered dimly in the weak light. "Let's go see the Mirror Man," Tom joked. Peering in a large mirror hanging in the living room, his reflection stared back at him, slightly distorted by the cracked glass. But as they explored further, they started to feel watched. Lucy was the first to sense it. Every time she glanced into a mirror, she thought she saw movement just out the corner of her eye, as if something or someone was shifting in the reflection, but not in the room. She mentioned it to others, but they brushed it off. "Come on, it's just old mirrors and shadows," Jack laughed, though his voice wavered. "Let's go upstairs." Upstairs, the air was colder, and the mirrors seemed larger. At the end of the long hallway stood a massive floor-length mirror, its surface rippling like water in the dim light. This one looked untouched by age, its glass pristine and clear. Drawn to it, Lucy stepped forward and stood in front of it. That's when she saw him. Behind her, just barely visible in the reflection, stood a figure, tall, with elongated limbs and hollow eyes. The figure's face was twisted in a grotesque grin, and it seemed to hover just behind her shoulder. Heart pounding, Lucy whipped around, but no one was there. "What's wrong?" Aaron asked, seeing the look of terror on Lucy's face. I saw something," she whispered, "in the mirror." The others laughed nervously, but Tom wasn't laughing. He was staring at the mirror wide-eyed. "I see him too," he whispered. "He's right there." And then Jack saw it. The figure was unmistakable, standing behind all now. grinning in the reflection, its long fingers slowly reaching toward Lucy. But still, when they turned, there was nothing there. The figure existed only in the mirrors. Panicking, they ran downstairs, but as they passed each other, the figure followed them. Its form became clearer with each step. The house seemed to shift around them, the mirrors multiplying, reflecting their fear and confusion. No matter where they turned, they could see him, the mirror man, his hollow eyes fixed on them, his twisted smile growing wider. They reached the front door, but it wouldn't budge. Jack tried to smash a window, but the glass wouldn't break. The reflections in the mirrors began to warp, distorting their faces, making them look like the mirror man himself. The whispers started soft at first, but growing louder. Come closer, they heard. Join me. Lucy trembled, backed into a mirror, her reflection mimicking her every move. But as she stared, her reflection didn't just copy her, it smiled. And then, without warning, it reached out. A cold, bony hand ripped her arm from inside the mirror. She screamed, trying to pull away, but the hand was too strong. The others rushed to help, but it was too late. Lucy's reflection yanked her into the mirror, her body vanishing into the glass with a final muffled scream. The others stood frozen in horror as the reflection of Lucy remained on the other side of the mirror, smiling coldly at them, now with the hollow eyes and twisted grin of the mirror man. Panicked, Erin tried to smash the mirror, but as she did, her own reflection grabbed her too, pulling her into the glass. One by one, the group was taken by their own reflections, their screams echoing through the house. Each mirror now held their images, trapped forever, a part of the house's sinister collection. By morning, the house was silent. The mirrors reflected only the empty, dusty rooms. But if you stood there long enough, you might catch a glimpse of the teenagers trapped behind the glass, their faces contorted in eternal terror, forever a part of the mirror man's twisted realm. And so the house remains, waiting for the next curious souls to venture inside, unaware that the mirrors are watching, waiting to claim their next victim. And we're going to go ahead and take that. We're going to go ahead and bring on a guest to go ahead and tell a story here tonight. And that guest is Nikki, Angels Are Life. Hi, Nikki.
Hi. With the Halloween makeup.
Yes.
The bat lashes I'm not used to.
We love it. We love it. In the spirit. In the spirit. So
I tried to.
Can you deliver a spooky story for us here tonight?
I can give you a couple. Short one regarding what you just talked about. FYI, folks, mirrors can be portals. That can be very scary, especially if you've got an old mirror standing in a bedroom and you've got a lot of kids. There's only one person that I know that's going to recognize it. It's their story, but basically, they had a portal in an antique mirror that they had up on a dresser, and their bird wouldn't even go near the mirror. It would pounce all around everything else, but it would not go near the mirror whatsoever, because the mirror was a portal. And once they got the mirror out of there, the bird just bounced around the entire area. It was not even a big deal. So that's one. Just an FYI, mirrors can be portals. Always a fun little excursion, which is one reason why I know somebody else who's like, they are so fanatical about all mirrors, they will not have a mirror in their house. And I take that back. There's two people I know that do that. One will not have a mirror in their house. Another one covers every single mirror. They put a towel, even if they go to a hotel, motel, whatever, to stay, the mirrors are always covered. So yeah, that can be a fun thing.
And so what I should say is some people should, and maybe that's the thing. I know I will for sure. Gonna go watch a mirror movie like Candyman or go do Bloody Mary or something. I was so scared to do it as a kid, but I might just do it for the sake of to find out what happened so I can come back tomorrow night and tell everyone.
Right on.
Just thought I'd put that out there, but yeah, go ahead with your story.
So there's a story that I know is going to freak out a few people. I did tell it last time we talked. The short end of it is a number of us noticed something very strange and odd with a person that we knew. And there were a number of us psychics in a group, and we went, something's off with this person. And we knew this person really well. Couldn't figure out what it was. And then all of a sudden, one day, after many months, in fact, there were a lot of things that were popping up one after another. And we just went, this last incident, we were like, oh my God, did you just see his face change? And somebody else said, yeah, and they started private messaging me, and we kept on the line with this person, and there were 3 of us that were private messaging each other, created our own chat while we were in video and going, we need to test this out and find out if what we think is happening really happening. And we tested it out, tested him out, so to speak. And that was when we knew, I ain't scared of no mirror. No, I wouldn't be either. But when you come across them, it's kind of shocking, to say the least. So anyway, we tested him out, and we realized that he was possessed. It was a form of possession. And we individually did prayers, and we individually asked our other side team in how we should proceed. And basically we each got told essentially the same thing, is that you need to remove it, but obviously you're going to need backup. You need a team. Each one of us got told essentially this, and we figured out a day to do it. And one of the things that I ended up hearing from the other side and a number of angels was that we were collecting from the other side. An entire group was waiting to see what was going to happen. And there were 5 of us that went in. We scheduled a day to meet with this person. He agreed and said, please help me. Repeated that a number of times. And we went in and we started dealing with it. And in dealing with it, we found, to our horror, that there were a total of 33 wannabe demons attached. And as we were pulling them off, ripping them off, because some of them were trying to stay, and I thank God that we had, you talk about, this is actually something that truly scared me. Not a lot scares me, but I'm here to tell you, Rob, to freak me out, this one did it. I was like, okay, well, I've got angels on our side. We are protected. We all knew we had Jesus, we had Source, we had all the angels. I mean, it was pretty intense and pretty incredible. And basically I thank God that we had what I call the demon dogs, and the permission from Source himself and from the certain hierarchy that owns the demon dogs. I call them demon dogs because I don't know what else to call them. There's probably some paranormal name for them, but that's what they appear to me to look like, and they're huge. They're just gigantically huge. And that was how we got rid of the wannabes. There was one grandmaster, very old, well, still young, but very old, demon, wannabe demon. He was almost a full-fledged true demon, because it takes 1 to more millennia for them to become a demon. Because of this situation, that's how I found out the demon process. And that's why I call the young ones, or the younger ones, wannabes, because I don't know what else to call them. They're literally in training here on Earth. And the true demons, the real ones, the ones that have been at it for many, many millennia, they don't even bother with Earth. That's what I got told by the angels. That's what I've been told by many hierarchy on the other side. So for the true ones to come to Earth to play, they have to really, really, really badly want it. But the young ones, the 1,000-year-olds, the 900-year-olds, the 15, 2,000, 2,500-year-olds, they're on Earth. They're the ones that people are mostly dealing with. And they can be scary. The true ones are deadly. They'll kill you in a heartbeat, unless they're going for something specific. So we pulled 33 off before we got to the bottom one. And we thought we got him. But obviously we didn't, because the person still has that one, or a small form of that one, I should say. And I cut all ties after that, because this person is not. They asked for help to begin with. They wanted the help. Their soul wanted the help. I even reached out and made telepathic communication with their soul. And once that person was relieved of all 33 of the wannabes, he was very happy and very much more like himself. And within a few days after that, everything, I mean, it was like, it was completely a different ballgame. So yeah, a number of us actually cut ties with him, because he basically allowed him back. He basically allowed the original one back. And I was like, why? Well, it was because part of his psychic abilities was coming from the demons. So you talk about scary stuff. They want him. They're using him for specific purposes. And the 5 of us, we worked our asses off, and we found, I mean, things I've never seen before. It opened up my eyes to a whole new world of what necromancy was, again, of what demons were, real demons, wannabe demons, and everything in between. So yeah, I mean, that was, you're dealing with fighting for a soul, fighting for a soul's life, and fighting for the physical life of the person. So that to me is truly frightening. In comparison to what, I mean, the stories that you're talking about, I'd walk into almost any one of those places without I was going to say without a care in the world. That's not true. I would go in fully loaded and fully protected. I always do. But
would you be interested in visiting any of these places? Have you visited any of these places, or
no,
would you be willing to?
I would be very willing to. There are certain places I will not walk into, and those are places such as in Washington State. There is a I can't think of the name of it. It's very famous here. Brain fart. It's in the Skagit Valley. Used to know somebody that worked there, and they were telling me, taking pictures of different things, and I'm like, you got some seriously bad, like really black shit going on in that room. Yeah, I know, I can't walk near it, I was told. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason for that. And then Robert, who I'm surprised hasn't come on yet, but he was talking about the same pictures, and he's like, I wasn't going to tell her, but this was here and that was there, and I mean, truly frightening places. So it was a home for I want to call it an asylum. That's what it reminds me of. The old terminology of an asylum, but that's not what they called it. Anyway, those are places I won't walk into, because you're dealing with doctors back in the day, in the 1800s, early 1900s, all the way in through the 60s and 70s, where you get doctors who are experimenting on patients. No joke. Well, you're dealing with those souls who have died on that property, and some of them are vicious to an extreme. I won't walk on to those properties. There are places I will not go. There are certain sections of those properties I will walk. But there are places I won't go. That's one of them. Another one is, oh God, I just had it now. I'm not used to these lashes yet. Sorry. That's the word I was looking for. Sanitarium. Mm-hmm. So places like that, or places that are known for, what was the famous house in New York? They made a movie out of it with the Warrens. Supposedly, the Warrens were
The Conjuring. Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's certain locations like that that I won't go near, because it goes beyond what I can fight against. It goes way beyond what I can fight against. Like the basement, it wasn't The Conjuring, it was the other one. They made 3 movies on it, and I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake.
Annabelle, Insidious.
Yeah, no. Oh, almost there. Other folks might remember it more than I do right now, the name. The Lutzes, the family of the Lutzes, that family in New York, and that house.
Amityville.
Amityville, thank you.
Yeah.
Places like that, I will not. There's no way in hell you could get me to go there. I won't even step foot in that neighborhood. No way. Because you're dealing with something so horrifically bad. No, I wouldn't put an animal in there. I wouldn't put a priest in there. No way. Too dangerous. Way too dangerous. There are locations that I would love to go to. There's another one in New York. I think it's New York. It's not the Hinsdale House.
I've heard of Hinsdale.
I would love to go there. Dave had the gentleman on his show, and when the guy was talking, I literally I was like, oh my God, you've got a portal in a tree. It was the first real experience that I psychically saw a portal. And I was fascinated. I was absolutely fascinated, and then started talking about everything that I was seeing, and he's like, I want to talk to her. We had never have connected. I would love to connect with him sometime, because I know in the next 5 years I'll be visiting the East Coast of the United States, and because I'm in Washington State, so I know that in the next 5 years I'll be visiting the East Coast, and that's one of the places that I want to go. I want to go visit, because I can feel even now I can still feel it. And it's like, I get drawn to places like that, but I will not go I don't feel a sense of evil in that house. Anytime I've I don't call it remote viewing. For me, it's not remote viewing. It's a form of extreme higher consciousness. It's better actually than astral in a lot of ways. But I've seen that house in a lot of different ways without ever seeing video, and that property fascinates me. I would love to walk the 4 corners or the 6 corners, however, of that property, and go there and see what else I pick up. It fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, in one of my lifetimes, I used to be a witch in Massachusetts, and escaped the burnings and everything. We went underground. We ended up in Connecticut. Well, we ended up in via way of Massachusetts and a few other locations. We ended up in Connecticut. But there are places all throughout that area that I would love to go and visit.
So give me real quick here your plans for this Halloween, and then something that you would like to accomplish in this field by next Halloween.
Ooh. Okay, for this Halloween, I don't do a lot on Halloween, because I have Halloween every freaking day of my life.
Okay.
I have spirits every day in my house. And if it's not every day, it's every other day. So, but most of the times it's every day. Like, I had both of my grandparents in my living room early this morning, and I'm like, oh, well, hello. So I don't typically do much on or for Halloween. I typically don't give out candy, mostly because that's a financial thing. But I love seeing the kids. I enjoy that very much. Actually, tomorrow I am doing my own show. We're going to be talking kind of similar to what you've done. I think you've done a lot more than I'll be doing on mine, but mostly it's just talking about a lot of different stories,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of different experiences that I've had. And for the coming year, there are a lot of things that I want to be doing paranormal-wise.
A place that you would like, or an accomplishment within the field that you would like to have accomplished by next Halloween. Maybe a place you visit, or
I want to go back to Mount Baker, and I want to go back and visit the Sasquatch. Okay. That's a completely different form of paranormal, in the sense of good grief, unplug that, sorry. In the sense of mind speak, but that's actually a goal that I've been in the process of trying to connect with the lead. She told me to call her mama, but that's one of my main goals, is to be in communication with her and that specific clan again, and start more communication with them again.
Okay.
For very specific reasons.
All right, all right. Well, that's awesome. So what we're gonna do, because we do have someone waiting in the back.
Yep.
So I'll let you go for now. Then we'll bring on the next guest, and then anyone else, if you're gonna come on and tell a story, hop into the waiting room, and then I'll bring you guys all on one by one. Appreciate you, Nikki. What
Thanks.
time are you on tomorrow?
7 7 p.m.
7.
Pacific time.
Okay, so I'll just be getting ready for my show, but I'm gonna come over and
Okay.
hang out for a little bit before my show.
As soon as I get StreamYard, you're coming on, dude.
Please. I'm ready. Don't worry about it. I'm ready. I'm ready. You have a good rest of your night. Have a great
You too.
Halloween, and thank
Bye.
you for your story.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
All right, we're gonna bring our next guest up here, who is joining us from Australia, and it's Mr. Robert White. Hi, Robert. How are you?
See, I'm here. I was here. He's only
yes.
been on my own time.
Definitely. Yeah, we're bringing you guys on one by one because I want to hear your individual stories. So if you have one for us, kind of this would be your time to tell a spooky story, to kind of get a spooky story off your chest here for Halloween.
Well, it's not really all that spooky, at least not to me. But we rented a house up in the far north of Queensland. And outside of the house, there were train tracks, there was a creek, and on the other side of the train tracks, there was a memorial marker of a little boy about 3 years old called Joshua. And we learned the backstory that his mother had been driving the main highway past the house. She had the car on, what do you call it? Automatic, the speed automatic driving type thing. And it had been raining. She lost control of the car, ended up in the creek, and the boy didn't make it, but she did. And when we rented the house, we didn't know that there was the grave marker out there, so we didn't know that anything would be in the house. We arrived with he was 4 at the time. Our firstborn son. We had lived there for about 6 months, and we'd only just gotten a television set to work because we didn't have the wiring to connect it up to the digital signal at that point in time. But we just got it set up. Can't remember why, but we had the police come out, and they actually came into the house. The TV was off, but it turned itself on to the kids' channel.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was there. She said, "Oh, hang on a second, I'll just turn that off again." And she turned it off, so it turned back on again, back to the kids' channel. And so she unplugged it from the wall and said, "Now try turn on." And the cop said, "Yeah, I don't think so. If it does, we're out of here." And then a couple of weeks after that, the room that my boy was in had a normal opening closing door like that, and he was on the inside of the door. We were on the outside, and it opened up really hard, enough that the bolt in the that holds the connecting hinge, the hinge came out, but the bolt stayed in the lock.
Mm.
So after that, we took the door down and put a sliding door that we found out in the garage that fit in it back onto it, so it wouldn't actually slam on him. So it nearly hit him. So that's
Wow.
after that, we actually found out that the father was in a township about 3 townships up from where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got in contact with him. We found out that the burial rights to this, they were from Papua New Guinea, and they have a belief that the spirit will follow an ancestor home. So we got in contact with the father. He came out to visit. He didn't actually go in the house, but when he left, the whole place felt a lot lighter, and we didn't have any more problems. So we
Wow.
believe that we sent the baby home with the father.
Wow. And you talk about Papua New Guinea, and they, their tribal stuff is so deep and
Uh-huh.
I want to say voodoo-ish, but I don't know what else to say. I know they do like that sort of magic. I don't know what it's really called. I don't want to be offensive in what I'm saying, but yeah, I already know what you said. They cast spells and they do sorts of things like that. So, yikes, Robert, that is insane. So I asked Nikki the same question. Out of the places that we talked about today, because of most of them, I personally had never heard of. Any of these places, would you visit one of those places? Would you go to conduct research or investigation at any of those locations, or is there a reason why you wouldn't?
Well, I have actually astraled to several of the locations that have been talked about, as well as to the Vatican. And unless you have a very high level, I'd advise not to go to the Vatican or the chambers underneath, because the chambers underneath, they have some pretty high-class wardens that will basically kick you out with a lightning bolt.
Yeah, I've heard of on Astral. I've heard of people being aware that they're being, well, and not really Astral. I guess it was more remote viewing that they can detect the fact that your presence is there. I've heard of that before. You said so. The astral traveling to some of the places that we talked about today. Which places in particular?
Well, I have been. Only because a team that I follow were there. I astrologed there to the Hinsdale House, as well as the Monroe House, and there's a hospital, an ex-hospital, South. I want to say South Jersey, but I'm not really sure because they were investigating there, and they weren't allowed to take live video inside the place, but I went there anyway, and they were just going back inside after having a break, and I was sort of texting with the one friend on the team, and I said to him, hey, you better check out such and such room on the top floor on the far left, because I'd drawn up a map of the Google Earth of the place, and I was getting like emanations from it. That's sort of how I do work. If I can pick up on something from just the picture itself, I'll warn people. And they said, oh, that's funny. That's exactly where we are. They're at the body shoot for the hospital.
So let me ask you this. We talked a little bit, but kind of act like we didn't talk the other day, right? So asking you about just the Halloween spirit and just the type of things that people get into. What do you have planned for Halloween? Are you? Well, I guess it is Halloween where you're at, right?
It is Halloween today, yeah.
Oh, okay. You're a day ahead, yeah.
We haven't really got anything planned for today because there's meant to be thunderstorms happening outside this afternoon, and the car we have, the windshield wipers don't work on it. So if it starts raining, we're up to.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Believe me, I know that.
They're going to be fixed on the 6th of November. We're taking it in, getting the brakes done as well as the wipers. So, but just until then, can't do anything really.
So we're on most of us that tune in are like on the other side of the world. What is one of the most haunted, spooky, scary places in Australia, if you had to pick one?
Well, from what I've heard, I've actually had a vision of it myself. Monte Cristo in New South Wales.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's so spooky or scary about that place?
That the ghosts just don't want to leave. It's that good of a place there that they found their niche, and even if they were practically forced out, they'd probably come back because they love the place.
Yeah.
But there is an old man there that's sort of like how people describe the cantankerous grumpy old man, like get off my lawn. But
Oh yeah.
he's one of the ones in the upstairs room. So if you don't go upstairs, it's fine.
And what was the history of that location? Why was it?
It was. I'll just bring it up so I can get the full factual details. Monte Cristo Homestead, Australia's most haunted homestead. Self-guided tours. Monte Cristo Homestead is a historic homestead located in the town of Junee, New South Wales, Australia. Constructed by local pioneer Christopher William Crawley in 1885. It is a double-story late Victorian-style manor standing on a hill overlooking the town. The Crawley family, not the Crowley, the Crawley, remained in residence until 1948. The house then stood empty until under the care of several caretakers, until 1963, when it was purchased by Reg and Olive Ryan, who have arrested its decay and largely restored it to a habitable condition. The homestead operates as a museum and antique showcase and tourist attraction with curios souvenir shop. So it basically is a big museum, which is probably why the ghosts like it, because if they've got things there that the ghosts are attached to, then they're going to hang around.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, awesome. I appreciate you letting us know that. And then that's one. See, I like for people to be able to take something and then go do further research on it. So Monte Cristo would be a site that most of us out on this side wouldn't know about. So that's awesome that you were able to give us that nugget there. Now, I'll ask you this as we get ready to go. Between now, so you got a year, between now and next Halloween, if you could choose a place to go related to paranormal or research, what is it?
Ireland.
Anywhere in particular, or just
mostly the castles?
Yeah.
Because especially Leap Castle, I've always been drawn to Leap Castle.
Yeah, we got a buddy out there. I haven't seen him in a while. His name is Castle Dude, and he's out there visiting all the castles. I hear there's like thousands of castles out there.
Yeah,
and from what
Anne and Renata were saying, they've been over there. It's basically a castle every minute. You drive by a castle every minute.
Yeah, that is bananas. That's bananas. Because I know the feeling I get. I'm out here in California, and when we drive through the desert, we hit a lot of mining towns, which essentially, for us, with the relics are almost as active as you would look at a castle. But to have so much out there to choose from, that's actually awesome. So is this something that you are definitely trying to do by next Halloween, at least visit one?
Yeah, as long as I can get a wheelchair that's operative remotely, like without being manual, because I was going over all those bumps is a bit jarring.
Yeah.
I am in a wheelchair because I had my leg cut off last year. So.
Yeah.
For a prosthetic, so I can actually start walking again.
Well, we're gonna put those healing energies out there and positive energies out there to get you that, and hopefully we can manifest that into reality so that you can go ahead and do that. But I'm glad that you have become a part of the channel. I really enjoyed the stories that you've told the last couple times here, and I'm definitely looking forward to talking to you more. So definitely hope to see you back around here. Appreciate you contributing to the Halloween feeling in the mood. I know the audience appreciates it too. And outside of that, thank you so much. Just have a great rest of your night. Have a great Halloween, and we're going to.
It's only 1:20 in the afternoon down here. So I've got all afternoon to go.
Lucky guy.
And you're welcome, Polly, and all the other ones that have said hello. Hello back to you. G'day.
That's right.
And I think if you're leaving, then catch you later.
Talk to you soon, Robert. Appreciate you.
Will do.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right, guys. Spooky season, right? We just hit the 2-hour mark, and I think that is a perfect place to end it. We didn't have any other takers on telling spooky stories, which is amazing because I know other people are celebrating Halloween, but I'll take that you took what we put forth today and we're satisfied with the content. So I'm going to take that as a win. And yeah, we're going to get ready to wrap this thing up, get up out of here, and then get ready for the Halloween show tomorrow because it is Halloween in Australia, but it is not here in the United States. It will be Halloween here in about 3.5 hours. So we will be doing a show over at Spaced Out Radio tomorrow night, United States time, Pacific time, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, where we're going to have One Shin come in and she's going to do readings. Now, I've never been in the presence of anyone that does tarot and does readings, so I have no idea what to expect. This should be a really fun show, so definitely make sure that you guys come over there. And then we'll do the after hour Saturday. We'll come back here Saturday night and we'll do a late night call-in show. Spooky season will be over by then, so we'll open it up to do a lot more. Outside of that, you guys are so awesome, and I do appreciate you guys showing up here tonight. I want to thank Magneticus Attractus for gifting the sub tonight. I want to thank Wes Decker, W. Decker. Happy almost Halloween, Rob, and everybody. Thanks for your support. And then Wes Decker also becoming a new member. Awesome stuff happening here. We're moving in this direction. We're getting where we need to go. And it's kind of cool, right, to kind of break off the UFOs for a little bit and get into some other stuff. That's what you'll find. We're going to cover other things here on this channel under the Social Dig umbrella. We will always still cover UFOs and the phenomena because it is currently the most important topic in humanity's future and for the direction we're going to go as humanity. So that will continue to be covered here, but we will branch off and also cover other things. So I'll leave a post on community tab for other social issues that are important to you and things that you would like to see covered. If you have any ideas there, go ahead and post them there, right? Because if it's something I haven't thought of, it's definitely appreciated, and we'll do what we can to go ahead and cover it and kind of just have that conversation, right? Tough as it may be. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody else for coming on in here. It's been cool. I really appreciate you guys showing up. And let me go ahead and flip through our stuff here. Obviously, our members. Magnetic is dropping a 6, and a 6 on spooky season. Wow, awesome stuff. Magnetic is season of the witches. Itches. I got you, Magneticus. I know where your head is at. So appreciate you guys coming on in. Remember, save the number in your phone because you can call and leave your experience. You can call and give ideas to shows, 856-843-3444, or that's 856-the-DIGG. And if you're outside the U.S., 001 before the number. Just put it in your phone. You got your mom, you got your sister, you got your brother, and then Rob G. Right there in your phone book. That way you can give a call, and just sometimes it's cool to say hi, right? You can do that at any time. That line is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And outside of that, guys, we do this. We get together always, regardless of the topic. It is for what you see right here, the positive progression of humanity, period. You guys, we're all down there. This is all of us down there. We're all humanity, a big mass of human essence and ability, right? And we're going to take this thing to the next level. So thank you guys so much for coming on in here. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you guys right here at the Social Dig. I will see you guys
next time, take care. Take care of each other. Put some positive energy out there. Till next time, guys. Later.